Hi everyone, welcome to our homeschool table. My name is Jerilyn and I'm a mom of 3 kids ages 9, 3, and 10 months old. And today I'm going to be sharing all of our history and science curriculum picks for the 2024-2025 school year. Today's video is part of a collaboration series hosted by Davene from Calm in the Chaos Homeschool and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool. And today we are sharing all about our history and science curriculum picks for this coming school year, or our family subjects. Now in our homeschool, I only have one child who is technically in an age level that would be learning history and science, and she will be going into 5th grade this coming year. My little guy who is going to be doing kind of tot school preschool, he won't really be doing any of these family subjects, if you will. And so that's why I am just sharing our history and science for 5th grade today. But this video is part of a collaboration series where the first video was about math curriculum picks, and then last week was language arts. This week is history, science, and or family subjects. And then next week will be extracurriculars or any extra curriculum that we have that doesn't fit into any of the other categories. So I hope you'll stick around today and definitely visit the playlist linked below in the description box to see what everybody else is choosing for history and science. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start today with our history curriculum for this coming school year. My daughter will be in 5th grade, like I said before, and we are going to be using Sonlight Level E, which is the Intro to American History, and this is the 2nd year of this program. So it starts out with Level D, and then the 2nd year is Level E. So the first thing that I wanted to mention about Sonlight is that the instructor's guides are amazing. And this whole binder is the instruction guide. So I'll just show you a little bit inside, but I have my timeline figures over here. And these, I'll show you in a minute. But there's a map, foldable map here at the front. And in the instructor's guide, it will tell you which map that you're going to be looking at that day, and it will also tell you the coordinates of whatever it is that you need to look at. Then we get into the weekly plans. So behind each of the numbered tabs, they go from 1 to 36, you will have your weekly plan, and so it tells you exactly all of the things that you're going to need to have out that week so that you can read those passages or read those sections to your kids. It always starts out with Bible here at the top, and then history and geography, then read alouds, and then readers down at the bottom. So I'm going to show you those things in that order to give you a good idea of how this program will work on a day-to-day basis. So for History Bible Literature Level E, there are a couple of different parts to the Bible section. The first one is called Starting Strong, and this is kind of a Bible study book that your kids will go through. So for instance, in chapter 1, there's some reading, and then there are some questions, and they take the full week to do this chapter. So they're kind of working on that throughout the week. So you can divide up the questions kind of as works for your schedule. So Starting Strong is the first book. And then there's a book that is actually 3 books in one. This is Case for a Creator, Case for Christ, and Case for Faith for kids. And so in the plans, it will tell you which one you're going to read, and it assigns 1 per week. So the introduction is the first one. And if you look here, there's just a couple of pages of reading, and then a question at the end. And so that would be one day's reading, and you do that once per week. The next section is the student Bible reading. And so that has 5 days worth of Bible reading for your student. And then the next section is the parent reading section. And so you are reading something separate from what they are. So if you were to download the Sonlight Level E 3-week, what do they call it? The trial, the free trial that you can do, you would see what is listed here that I'm going to share. So for student reading, they are doing some readings for the first week in Luke and Matthew and Mark and John. But in the parent reading, we are going to be going through the book of Matthew. So it starts out with Matthew 1 on the first day, Matthew 2 on the second day, and it's going to go through the book of Matthew. Then there is memorization. And each week it will tell you what you're going to work on for memorization. And I, of course, had to compile all of those verses into this little booklet. And I made a memorization for HBLE booklet. And so in here, I've printed week 1. She will be doing Psalm 103 verses 1 through 3. And then for week 2, it's still Psalm 103, but now you're adding the next 3 verses. And so I just have them all here because that's what she'll be working on for week 2. And then week 3 adds on a few more, and so on and so forth. So I just made this little booklet so it'd be really easy for us to actually do the memorization. Sometimes you just need to have things really handy. The last part for the Bible section is the CD, The Heavens Declare. And the nice part about these CDs is that you can use your regular CD player, but you also get a digital download of the audio. And so you can put it on your phone and then put it on your Bluetooth speaker or your sound bar on the TV or whatever it is that you use at home. So you don't have to use the CD, but it is a nice option to have if your internet's not working or something like that. Okay, so the next part is history and geography. So first I'm going to share the history books that we will be using this year. So first we'll be using The World Wars, which is an Usborne book. The Landmark History of the American People, Volume 2. Volume 1 is what you would use in Level D, or the first half of this 2-year series. And then American History, a visual encyclopedia from Smithsonian. Some of the more novel type of books that will be incorporated for history are In Search of the Source, Lights in a Dark Place, One Voice, The Story of William Wilberforce. And then we also will be using a CD called Songs About America, and I will put a little picture up here. That is actually a digital download only, and that comes straight from the manufacturer. So that is already on my phone. I've downloaded it there so that we can listen to those songs on our Bluetooth speaker. One of the things that I did not purchase with the History Bible Literature package that is an optional add-on is the lap book kit. That it's kind of like a hands-on history lapbooking kit that you can get. It's an additional charge, obviously, but I just knew that it would probably be a little bit too much for us to have in addition to all of the other things that we're doing in language arts and in science and things like that. So I chose to not purchase that part. So now I'm going to start into the read-alouds that we will be using. The first one is How to Eat a Poem. And this book just has one poem per page. And you read this book about 2 days per week. So the rest of the read alouds will be Caddy Woodlawn, Across 5 Aprils, The Great Turkey Walk, which we actually already read this year, General Butterfingers, In the Year of the Boar and Jackie Robinson, The Winged Watchman, King of the Mound, Miracles on Maple Hill, Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, A Letter to Mrs. Roosevelt, Little Britches, The Great Wheel, Every Soul a Star, and A Summer of Sundays. So those were all of the read alouds that we'll be doing. And now I'm going to show you the basket that I put together for my daughter's readers. Now I have actually already gone through all of these in my language arts video, but here are the readers that she will be reading. And these are scheduled in the instructor's guide, just like all of the read alouds and history and geography, all of those things. So if you would like to see exactly what we'll be doing with the readers, go ahead and watch the language arts video, and I'll link that below in the description box. So another aspect of Sonlight is that you use a timeline book. And so we started putting timeline figures in this book when she was in first grade and second grade. We did a really terrible job at putting the timeline figures in when we were in level C. And this last year with level D, we were using a friend's curriculum and I didn't have the timeline figures. So this year we are going to do better. And I will be probably talking about that in future update videos of how we're doing with our timeline figures. But the timeline is, this book is purchased as an add-on through Sonlight, so no matter what level you start at, you can add this on and get one for your family. Or you could choose to do one timeline book for each of your students. But the timeline figures come with the History Bible Literature package. If you are going to do this program again later on, you can also add extra of these so that you can use it later on with your next children. But basically these are printed on sticker paper, and so you just cut these out, and the curriculum will tell you exactly when to put each of these on when you're on those people. And so there are several pages of people and events that you will be putting on your timeline. So I went ahead and just took out week 1 to show you, and this is something you can look at the first 3 weeks of the program if you enter your email on the sonlight.com website, and for whichever level it is that you want to receive the first 3 weeks for. So I just wanted to show you a little bit about how it works. So like I said before, it has Bible all listed first, and then history and geography, and then read alouds, and then readers. And so you would just start at day 1 and go down the list of what you have to do that day. I specifically like to break this up throughout the day instead of doing all of it just right in a row. That would take a really long time and we would get very bored. So we usually split up the Bible at the beginning of the day, and then a little bit later on we will do history and geography, and then a little bit later after that we will do the read alouds, and my daughter will do the readers on her own. Usually she does that in the morning, either before school starts or kind of somewhere right in the middle of everything. Or she will read that during quiet time that we have every afternoon. So if you look down here at the very bottom, it gives you a little key. So this little circle is for map points. And so you can see on here, there are different map points that you're going to look up. And then this little picture of people is for the timeline figures, and it will show you exactly which day that you need to add those timeline figures. And then they also have timeline suggestions, which is this little clock, and there are lots of those as well. So you can choose whether you want to write that in on your timeline book or if you just want to skip that part. But in the notes, section here, it's going to start with each book. So it'll start with Bible reading, and then it will go to the next book. So this is One Voice, the story of William Wilberforce, and it'll tell you on day 1, this is the introduction, these are some words you might want to know, and then things to discuss after you read. Lots of questions here to go through. And then this is where it tells you about the timeline and the map points. So it'll give you a little list right here. So for this particular week, Simon Bolivar and William Wilberforce, and then you're going to look up whole England. And if you look really closely here, it'll give you the coordinates on your map of which section you're going to look at. So let's look one up. So whole England is on C3, map 5. So we have, here's map 1, map 2, map 3, map 4, and map 5. So these are coming from map 5, and it tells you, okay, whole England is on C3. So if I fold this just to show you, you would find C and 3, and then it gives you the box that you need to be in. Okay, great. Then you move on to London, England, and that's on D3. So then you look here, D3. Oh, here's London. And then the last one is Olney, England, which is also on D3, and that's right above London. So that is all that you would do for the map points for the day. And then you would cut out your timeline people, William Wilberforce and Simon Bolivar. So that is what you would do for that day. Next, I'm going to show you our science curriculum that I picked up. Now, I had been watching a Sonlight Science Level E video from my friend Sarah over at Blessed Homeschool, and she showed this book that I have, which is the spine book to the Sonlight Level E Science. And it's called How to Be Good at Science, Technology, and Engineering. And so it kind of caught my eye because this book goes over lots of different topics. So it has lots of different topics in the category of life, and then matter, energy, forces, earth, and space. So I decided, after looking at a couple of flip throughs of that book, that I thought my daughter might like to do that program. But the Sonlight Science Level E is extremely expensive, and it also has a experiments kit and an experiments book that I knew we probably wouldn't really use because we're not really sciencey people around here. And so I had looked up that particular book on YouTube and found that they actually have a workbook that goes along with it. They have one for grades 2 through 5, and then they also have one for grades 6 through 8 that's a little bit more, it's a little bit more advanced. And so I went ahead and got this, and so it has a worksheet for most of the lessons, not all. So what I did, because I'm the spreadsheet queen, I made a little list of the topic for that day, each lesson and what it's titled. And then over here, I wrote which workbook page goes with it. And so not every single one has a workbook page, as you can see. Like all of these, there's no workbook page to go with those. But that's okay. You can just do the reading of that, just talk about it, or move on to the next one the next day. But I made one of these for each of the different units. And I also have a little box over here for living books, because this is from a literature-based curriculum. And so I thought I might use some of the Sonlight suggestions of adding books to this. And then I would also consult Ambleside Online and Simply Charlotte Mason. They all have good book lists for things that you can add for good living science books. And so that is my plan for now. But let me show you inside of what these books look like. Okay, we are going to start out by looking at the main book, How to Be Good at Science, Technology, and Engineering. Now, if you go to the table of contents, this is what you'll see. So we have a couple of lessons that are just introduction to science. And then we have all of these different lessons for life science, and then matter over here. Energy, forces, earth, and space. So I'm going to flip to the life science section to show you. So I made these spreadsheets like I was showing you. Here is the life science section. So if we were to do this first lesson, what is life? The workbook page 14 goes along with it. So first I'll show you what that one lesson looks like. So here's what is life. So my daughter will just read this lesson, and that's it, just those 2 pages, page 20 and 21. And then she will go to the workbook to page 14. Oh, right here. What is life? And she will answer some questions on these 2 pages. And we'll probably wind up doing these together at lunch or something like that. So that would be 1 day's worth of work for her for science. So I will just show you a little bit of a flip through so you can get an idea of what this book has. My daughter and I have done different science curriculums over the years. We've done astronomy with Apologia, which I really liked, but it was a full year of one topic, and we just were over it by like the 4th month. We did it and we finished it, but we like a little bit more variety. So then after that, we've done some Good and the Beautiful, some units from the Good and the Beautiful, and we really like those. We've done a couple different units, which we still might do 1 or 2 next year, you never know. But these just have short lessons about one topic, and then some questions in the workbook. So I'm going to flip back to another section here, sound. Measuring sound, light, reflection. This just has a lot of simple science topics. So that is just a little bit of a peek inside of this book. Now I will show you a little bit about what the workbook looks like. I already showed you that first lesson, so we will just start a little ways back. But they just have lots of fun activities that I knew she would like the word finds, some fill in the blanks, matching, just little fun activities. It's colorful and has pictures, which she really likes. Has a little graph over here that she'll be, or a little chart that she'll be filling in. So this is what the 2nd to 5th grade workbook looks like. The 6th to 8th grade workbook was a lot more like filling in the answers, not so many like cute little activities, more like this over here. But I like that this had some diagrams, vocabulary, things like that. So this is what we'll be using for science. Thank you so much for coming today to see what we are choosing for history and science in our homeschool. Don't forget to visit the playlist linked below to see what the other moms have chosen for their homeschools. Check out Davene's channel at Calm in the Chaos Homeschool and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool, and thank you to them for hosting today's collaboration. Thank you so much for watching today, and we'll see you next time.